Kentucky. What do you think about how your team kind of worked through learning to play against all that physicality? And before you answer, Caleb said learning to play through it. Offensively is something that he learned. So how would you gauge how you guys?
I would agree with that. One of the things that I've said to them over and over again, that there's no way, there's no route, there's no road other than, being able to be tough on both ends of the floor. We've identified that, when the ball goes up in the air, it's on the ground. We've got to be physical and tough enough that it's always all UNC. The physicality even on the offensive end, to be able to set screens, come off screens, the patience to be able to take the bump, be able to score, get to the free throw line, knock down free throws, makes the extra pass. You're right, the last 4 games in regards to St. Bonaventure and Michigan State and Kentucky and now Georgetown, very physical teams, and I think it's great for us to learn lessons on what it's going to allow us to be successful. When I say there's no road, no route, no other way, in order for us to be successful, we got to be a great defensive team and a great rebounding team. You can't do that without being physical.
And as a quick follow-up, Henry specifically said the lesson from Michigan State about being physical and meeting it for 40 minutes instead of however many minutes it was probably the best thing that you guys learned during this stretch, and that you're taking it with you now moving forward.
I believe we're growing. We're getting better at it. It's not a finished product. I feel like we've got a long way to go, but one of the things that I consistently talk to them about is how do you react and how do you respond? And so with the physicality, how are we going to respond in the way that we did specifically in the second half to hold them to just 10 points in the paint, 0 fast break points, I thought was huge. And so, I thought our defense, 22% in the second half versus a really good Georgetown team, and out-rebounded them as well. And so really happy about that.
Rob and Brian.
Hubert, felt like a really big stretch when you guys were able to hit those 3 threes in a row, create some separation.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the breakout's coming for this group with how many opportunities?
I like it. But, from an offensive standpoint, we're inside out. I've been clear and definitive, I want to dominate points in the paint through post penetration, offensive rebounding, live in the paint, live at the free throw line, put max pressure on the rim. I believe when you do that, that generates the open threes, and I felt like we generated really good threes. Even though in the first half I thought we had some good looks, we just didn't knock them down. But really, I'm really looking forward to the day where we're dominating points in the paint and we're hot from 3-point range. That'll be, and we make all of our free throws.
That was kind of where I was going with Henry and Caleb creating so much attention there. Do you feel like with those opportunities continuing to be there that it's going to come at some point?
Yeah, I do. I believe that we have the ability to really shoot the basketball. I was really proud how we handled when they double teamed. More and more teams are doubling, Henry and obviously Caleb, in the way that we handled it and passed the ball out to the perimeter and made the extra pass. I thought even though when we missed it, I felt like we made the right play.
Brian and Josh.
Hubert, I think Derek had 14, Kyan had a couple early points. When that backcourt is playing, because obviously you said the offense kind of runs through the front court, but when that backcourt kind of starts scoring, how does that maybe open up the offense and open up just things in general?
Yeah, it did. I thought the start that Kai had was huge for us. I mean, it's not just the shots that he made. He was confident. He was aggressive. He was on point. It's been 5 out of the 8 games where he's gotten into foul trouble, and so we've got to find a way to keep him out there on the floor. I really like Kai and Derek on the floor at the same time. I've said always that, I love multiple ball handlers. You can't take us out of our offense, and with those two, with the way that Georgetown was switching defenses, we always had somebody that can handle the basketball and get us into a set and get us organized. But I thought Kai got off to a really nice start, and Derek, his confidence just continues to grow on both ends of the floor.
Josh, the note.
With that rotation in mind, we also saw Jaron and Zayden playing together. How important are the next 4 games leading into conference play in you identifying what combinations work best?
I think that's huge. It's only – what is our record? 8-1. Okay, it's only 9 games in. I don't know who I talked to before, but it's in the preseason, we didn't have Luka. Then we had a full team for 2 games, and then we haven't had Seth for 6 games, and so it's trying to figure out rotations And then when Seth comes back, it's finding it again. And so, but different combinations is one of the things that I was excited about coming into the season, that the versatility that we have, that we can throw out a number of different rotations out there that can be really effective on the floor.
No, then Jeremiah.
These last 4 games that you guys played, all 4 teams could very well be tournament teams by the end of the season. How would you gauge the basketball that you guys played, and how would you, just moving forward, what does that stretch mean for this team?
No, it's good. I mean, obviously the level of play, talent that we've played against has been real. Unbelievable teams and programs, and with the exception of that couple stretches in the Michigan State game, I felt like we've responded really well. Only 9 games in, there's so much to grow, so much more to improve on. And again, mentioning when Seth comes back, really reorganizing a new team, and looking forward to him getting back on the floor.
Jeremiah, then Michael.
Yeah, Hubert, I know we've asked you before about, Caleb and adjusting to the new defenses or the increased defensive attention, everything like that. But what do you think he's learned through that process? Obviously, we saw the way that he was able to play tonight. What do you think he's learned through, those extra double teams, the heightened physicality, and how you kind of see him respond to it?
Well, I think one of the things that I would say opposing teams are learning is, like, one of the things that he's elite at is passing the basketball. I mean, he can find guys. And so actually when they put 2 on the ball, he becomes a playmaker. And he's really instinctive, and he knows where his teammates are and gets the ball to where it needs to be. But, as teams continue to build more people around him, just learning when to be aggressive, when to get the ball back out. We'll get it right back into you. I remember in the second half, I said, look, you don't have to force it. Just throw it back out. We'll throw it right back into you because we love the ball in his hands. He makes great decisions.
Michael, and then the gentleman in the second row. I'm sorry. Michael.
Hubert, the last time we saw you guys here was the Navy game, and Navy had that really big run in the second half.
Yeah, 21-8
Yeah.
to end the game. Yeah.
Tonight there wasn't a run for Georgetown in the second half once you built that lead. What changed?
Yeah, that you talked about, have we learned? I think that's something that we're learning, is that, you continue to have to execute. One of the things that we always talk about in a huddle is 4-minute stretches. So obviously the timeouts usually every 4 minutes, and let's cut the games into halves and 4-minute segments and say we've got to win it, and let's raise the level of attention to detail, will and want to, effort, and let's make sure we win these 4 minutes. But it starts defensively and rebounding the basketball. And so not having those times where you take your foot off the gas and just continue to finish the race. And I think earlier when we have done that, we're getting better at it, and I thought we did a really good job tonight. Just stay in the course and continue to get stronger throughout the second half.
There in the second row, then last 2, Shelby and Brendan.
Coach, Ed runs a lot of actions offense. This was the first time this season where that offense got really, really stagnant, and it forced Mac into a really poor shooting day. What is a couple things that you took away from them that really gave them a lot of issues with them wanting to get the ball where they really needed to get the ball?
Well, one of the things defensively, specifically in this game, we switch 1 through 4. And so, when you're switching defenses, you switch to take away. And so what it basically comes down to is, one-on-one basketball. I felt in the first half we didn't do as good a job as we should have. But I thought in the second half we made them more of an isolation one-on-one team, less ball movement, and maybe took some rhythm from them on the offensive end. But I felt like our defense, specifically in the second half, all of our switches really took them out of their actions and out of their plays and made them more ISO-oriented, and that was good news for us and bad news for them.
Last 2, Shelby, then Brennan.
Coach, I think Henry's up to maybe 5 career double-doubles, and I know you said when you got his first, you were
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, what the bejeebies? I was shocked.
When we were talking to him, you talked a lot about specifically working defensive rebounding with Coach May over the offseason. That was a really big point of emphasis. Yeah. But what have you maybe seen from him so far in the offseason and now that's allowed for, this great stretch for him?
Yeah, I mean, we put a lot of weight and importance on him. He's so huge for us on both ends of the floor. His rebounding is real. His length his ability not only just to rebound, but to keep balls alive up in the air that allows us to be able to get those rebounds. He's getting to the offensive glass. That's something that's always been an emphasis for us. And honestly, with him and Caleb, they're our two best offensive rebounders. But you saw tonight, I thought that three he hit was huge in the second half. And, man, you got a 7-footer that can score around the basket, can pass, can handle, can shoot threes. Somebody that I like that's on our team. And I'm really happy for him. He's playing extremely well, and he's a great kid to coach and be around.
I think this was the first game that Caleb didn't have a dunk somehow, but he was hitting the mid-range.
He almost did because they called a foul. It was the second half. They called it, and I told he had a dunk there.
Right.
He had a dunk there.
But he still has the mid-range.
Oh, and then he also had Derek threw the lob, and then okay, it was close. It was close. We tried.
Right.
We tried.
But he had the mid-range going still. Has he ever told you where that's come from, and just sort of broadly for a month into the season for him, how would you sort of evaluate where he is?
No, it is. His mid-range is elite. It's so funny, people, and nothing against them at all. There's metrics of, threes and layups. I like 4-level scorers, guys that can shoot from three, mid-range, get to the bucket, and also from the free throw line. You know what I really like? FGMs, field goals made. And from 12 to 15 feet, that thing goes in. And so that's what I want, okay? And so, but just, I've said this before, and this is just my belief. I don't think you can have a better 5-star player, 5-star person, and a 5-star teammate than Caleb. It may be out there, but there's nobody better than him. And it's not just a blessing to be able to coach him. It is a gift. And I tell you one thing, in practice, he did something in practice, and everyone stopped, and I got on the team. I said, act like you've been there before. I was like, guys, everybody does this. Everyone's done it. We've seen that play before. And everyone looked at me, and then I said, guys, this is the first time that I've lied to you. I've never seen that before.
What did he do?
He dunked, and it was, and everyone just stopped, and I was like, man, I've never seen that one before. And, some of the shots that he hit today, that wasn't individual workout. That's just because he's a dude and he can play. And so I've never seen that before either. So I like to continue to see things I've never seen before in a good way. Okay.
Well, in the last 65 plus years, it's just the second time we